There it goes. Okay. If we were immortal and invincible, we would be an even uglier group of people. Death of a loved one is the most impactful and humbling life lesson a person can ever experience, in part because it reminds us how short our time really is and what really truly matters. Now, the problem here is that immortality and invincibility means you can't be killed. So, this guy's, you mentioned that, you know, we would become an even uglier group of people. But then you say death of a loved one is the most impactful. Okay, so death can't happen, but you're talking about how we'd become uglier if we were without death. So you're contradicting yourself right there. And if we were invincible, there wouldn't be any need for any such experience. As you talk about humbling life lessons, there would be no lessons needed because we were immortal and invincible. So based on this little bit so far, which is the beginning of your almost, well, I can't say that's chapter length, but it's very lengthy reply, and so far it's bullshit. But yeah, you're just contradicting yourself here, and I can't even remember. Well, I think this is about God. I don't know. Yeah, God's word. So this is a religious thing. It's really, well, it's what I mostly do anyway, so yeah. In part because it reminds us how short, well, would our time be short if we were immortal and invincible? But unfortunately, that would also mean that we can't end it at any time soon, which would be a problem, but, well, I mean, what I'm really getting at is that we can't feel pain and we can't kill each other is what I'm really getting at. But unfortunately, that would be a downside to it. I only argue immortality and invincibility to shoot down the God argument. It's just another question I have in response to that nonsense. In the old books, it is said that 200 angels came down to earth because they wished to live here and swore to God that they would resist sin, but after seeing... Now you're going on about sin. And what is sin? Sin is the absence of God. But the problem is that we couldn't be evil if we were both immortal and invincible. But our mortality was, I guess, I think some Christians would say, a punishment for Adam and Eve's disobedience. So, I mean, sin, it's a very loose term. What is sin? Again, it's, as I just said, it's the absence of God, which means, I don't know. I don't even know what really sin is. I mean, some Christians would say it's any act of evil, crime, whatever, and really all sin is, once again, it's only the absence of God, which means that it's only an offense to God, which is why I repeated that 3 times now, just to point that out. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that only means offending God? That doesn't affect other people in the world, which is where the whole concept of morality comes from, and as you say, a humbling life lesson, something we wouldn't need if we okay, trying to sort this out. Yeah, we wouldn't need any sort of life lesson if we were immortal and invincible. Sin wouldn't be there. But again, I mean, sin is only an offense to God, not people. And we can't be offensive to other people if we're immortal and invincible. It's all fucking confusing. But, yeah. but after seeing human women couldn't resist and took themselves wives. This was the greatest sin for an angel, because humans were only given the ability to have sex because they were not immortal like the... Okay, do you realize what you just did here, Coldcrush? You exemplify angels here who give in to sin and talking about the ability to have sex because we're not immortal like the angels, whereas you just shot down immortality and invincibility because, as you claim, we'd be an even uglier group of people. But yet you just said angels would give in to sin. What the fuck? That is beyond stupid, Coldcrush. You just contradicted yourself. Do you even know what you're talking about? What the fuck? These angels were condemned for it and began to influence man, gave them secrets. What the fuck are you talking about? What does any of that have to do with immortality and invincibility? You're going on a tangent here. You've just tried to use angels as an example, but you unintentionally contradicted yourself. Are you really that dumb? God lamented as he came to regret that he ever made man. Well, he's the one that caused the fucking problem. And you worship the motherfucker. You're defending him. He lamented he ever created... Well, God is the one who wants obedience and is the one who created Adam and Eve to set them up to disobey him. What the God needed that to happen to cause the sin so that we would obey him. That's why he needed Jesus Christ, because they're not going to... You guys aren't going to blame God for making us this way, as you know we're mortal and that there's nothing we can do about it. That's why you need Adam and Eve. That's why he was there. I mean, Jesus Christ existed to be killed, to be sacrificed. Otherwise, you guys don't have a way to get into heaven, to get that forgiveness from God. While God is the one who caused the whole fucking shit to be fucking begin with. God sent the floods to wipe out the Nephilim and... But he's not ugly? That isn't ugly? What if we were immortal and invincible? Could we do anything? Well, this is all about God, obviously. So, which also just shatters your fucking whole thing right here. This is what happens when you try to use examples. You go off tangent and you contradict yourself. It always happens with you Christians. So he can't... God sent... Yeah. And his offspring. His angels... The angels were buried beneath the earth, imprisoned until Judgment Day. What the what does any of this have to do with my comment? This whole that whole reply is nonsense. Okay, so going back to the beginning here. Okay, Mike H. Both of our country's ancestors chose freedom by blood. That those who sacrifice for their fellow man are the true heroes. We both have great men to show us what true patriotism is all about and how much freedom costs. If we give away that freedom, we do those great men an injustice in the eyes of our children and God. May both Pakistan and America remain free of these troubling times. May God protect us all. My reply: would we need anything from God if God was a responsible, omnipotent creator, all-powerful? God gives you the choice of what you do. What does that have to do with anything? That doesn't answer my question. Did I ask who gave us the what God does? I think I say that. I should have, okay, yeah. Yeah, so this was 2 months ago, actually. I vaguely remember this. Okay, God gives you the choice of what you do, with freedom to choose to do good or to do. Now, could that happen if? Okay, I didn't ask that yet, but okay, would we need anything from? He's just not answering my question, which is common with you Christians. Would we need anything from God if God was a responsible, omnipotent creator? Would we need a choice? But going back to, well, would we need the freedom? Would sacrifice be necessary if God was a responsible, would we need anything? Would we need sacrifice? Would we need freedom? Would we need any of this? Would we need God? Would we need His protection? You don't answer any of these. You don't answer my question. You go off on your own tangent, giving us a choice of what you do. Choosing to do good or to do evil is free will, basically. That doesn't answer my question. But yet well, I'll just read this just for the hell of it. That freedom comes from Him. Okay, I never asked anything about freedom, though. But you are also warned that the freedom comes eternal consequence. Okay, why do you agree with that? Why do you agree that there should be, why do you want the consequences to be there? While God does not control your choices, He can set up the circumstances in which they are made. Those who believe and follow God's word are heard when they pray for protection. Oh, fuck. Not always does the protection come, since evil has a power of its own and power here on this earth, but you can be protected. But if you aren't protected here, your eternity will be even more blessed. Actually, fuck it, I don't feel like reading that shit. Okay, so I unfortunately asked the wrong question here. Would evil exist, or would we need to choose if God made us invulnerable? Okay, so that's where I bring that in, but my original question again was, would we need anything from God? Would any of these, if God was an omnipotent, responsible creator? So that's my new question for you, Mike H. Would we need freedom? Would we need sacrifice? Would freedom ever be a problem? Would we need sacrifice? Would we ever need to pay any kind of price? Would patriotism be necessary? What? Would we need God's protection? So answer me that, Mike, if you decide to click on this video. So I'm disappointed in myself for not asking that. Went on. Would evil exist, or would we need to choose if God made us invulnerable and immortal? Wouldn't God be evil by torturing us only because we offended Him, which causes no harm to people and therefore can't be a crime? Why do you approve of such a horrific ultimatum / punishment that makes you evil? Who is God to make us choose anything? So, from Mike, your last sentence shows your confusion. Well, your last reply shows that you're dishonest and just disingenuous, because you evaded my question and went on about giving us choice to do either good or evil. That freedom comes from Him. So he caused that anybody is choosing to do good or evil, but that's beside the point. Just because He gave the free will. So He's indirectly responsible for all that. But you're still not answering my question, though, Mike. So get to it. Yeah, answer my questions. I did, he says. I get to this a lot. No, you didn't. And yeah, so until lambs become lions. I mean, it's a YouTube video, but he says it could be a scam or virus. Obviously, just an excuse not to click on it because he's chicken shit, as I said there. Okay, so this goes up to Coldcrush here. So I think I've pretty much laid everything out. I don't know what my problem is. I mean, I have a process and I just somehow seem to fail. I don't know what my problem is. That is my fault. That's the whole idea of it, though. You gotta stick to your guns. Would we need anything from God if God was a responsible, omnipotent creator? Meaning, would we need all that? Was I just explained 2 or 3 times now? So yeah, I'm gonna put the ball back in both Mike's court, along with what's his name, Coldcrush here. So both of you guys answer my fucking question. So shut the fuck up.